What if everything you were ever taught about success was completely backwards? What if the harder you chase money, the further it runs from you? What if the real secret to becoming wealthy, influential, and genuinely successful isn't about taking more, but about giving more? Most people laugh when they hear that. And here's what's interesting. Most people are nowhere near as successful as they wish they were. Today we're breaking down The Go-Giver by Bob Burg and John David Mann. A short, powerful business parable that has quietly changed the way millions of people think about work, wealth, and success. In this book, you'll meet a young go-getter named Joe, a legendary mentor named Pinder, and 5 laws that will completely flip your understanding of how success actually works. Let's get into it. Joe is the kind of person most of us know. Maybe we are Joe. He works hard. He works fast. He's ambitious, driven, and absolutely determined to reach the top. He calls himself a go-getter, and he is. The problem? It feels like the harder and faster he works, the further away his goals get. He's doing a lot of going, but not a lot of getting. The story opens on a Friday afternoon with the third quarter coming to a close. Joe desperately needs to land a massive account he's been calling the Big Kahuna. He's already missed his quota twice this year. A third miss could cost him everything. In a last-ditch effort, he calls in a favor, only to find out he's been outbid and outperformed by someone he's never even heard of. His contact, Carl, basically tells him, "Your firm doesn't have the clout and leverage to pull this off." Those 2 words, clout and leverage, stick in Joe's head. And then he hears about someone, a legendary consultant known simply as the chairman. A man so successful, so connected, so respected that people just call him Pinder. Joe, in classic go-getter fashion, decides he's going to cold call this man's office on a Friday afternoon and ask to meet him. And here's where the story gets interesting. It works. He gets a Saturday morning appointment. Joe walks up to a stunning stone mansion, fully expecting to be pitched a consulting fee he can't afford. Instead, Pinder greets him with a warm smile, pours him incredible coffee, and tells him something completely unexpected. Joe asks about the trade secret to Pinder's success. Pinder leans forward and says one word, giving. Joe blinks. That's it. And Pinder smiles and says, most people just laugh when they hear that the secret to success is giving. Then again, most people are nowhere near as successful as they wish they were. Joe can't argue with that, but he's skeptical. So Pinder makes him an offer. Meet with me every day for a week during your lunch hour. I'll introduce you to 5 laws I call the 5 laws of stratospheric success. But there's one condition. Joe has to apply every law he learns the same day he learns it. Not think about it, not plan to do it, actually do it. That's the deal. Joe shakes Pinder's hand, and the education begins. Monday, Pinder takes Joe to a packed Italian restaurant in the middle of the city, Euphrates. They're escorted past a line of waiting customers to a corner table. There, they meet Ernesto Euphrates, a loud, joyful, big-hearted man who owns the place. Ernesto's story begins with a hot dog cart. 20 years ago, Ernesto showed up in this city with barely enough money to buy a street cart and a license to run it. But within a few years, his little stand was named the best outdoor dining experience in the city. Not best hot dog stand, best dining experience. He didn't just sell food. He sold an event. He remembered every kid's name, every customer's birthday, their favorite colors, their friends. He made buying a hot dog feel like the most special moment of your day. Business executives started abandoning fancy restaurants to have their power lunches at his cart. Eventually, a group of investors backed him to open his own restaurant. Then another. Today, Ernesto owns a half-dozen restaurants and several $100 million in commercial real estate, all starting from a hot dog cart. And here's the principle he shares with Joe. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. This is the first law, the law of value. Joe pushes back immediately. Doesn't that lead to bankruptcy? And Ernesto explains, the question, does it make money, is a great question. It's just a bad first question. The right first question is, does it serve? Does it add value? When value comes first, profit follows naturally. Not as the goal, but as the result. Ernesto puts it beautifully. A great restaurant strives to provide a higher quality of food and service than any amount of money could possibly pay for. Now, Joe has to apply this. That same afternoon, back at the office, he gets a call from a lawyer named Jim Galloway. Jim's telling him a multinational client is going elsewhere. They need someone with stronger overseas connections. Joe just lost the deal. And then Joe does something that almost shocks himself. He opens his competitor file, finds the name of someone who does have those connections, and gives Jim the referral. A free referral to a competitor. No strings attached. It feels insane, but it was his homework. Tuesday's lunch is at an educational software company run by a young woman named Nicole Martin, CEO of Learning Systems for Children. Nicole's conference room is filled with clay, finger paints, construction paper, and crayons. Her top marketing executives brainstorm global expansion plans by painting and sculpting like kindergartners. The point? When adults get out of their heads and into their hands, creative breakthroughs happen. Nicole's story. She was a brilliant grade school teacher who felt constrained by a system that only taught kids to memorize. So she created games that actually sparked curiosity and learning. But a teacher can only reach 25 kids at a time. She was barely surviving on her salary. Eventually, with the help of a software engineer dad and a marketing-savvy school mom, connected to her through a mysterious figure everyone calls the connector, Nicole co-founded a company. Today, Learning Systems for Children does over $200 million in annual sales worldwide and expects to touch 20 to 25 million kids. And that, she explains, is the second law. Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. This is the law of compensation. Your compensation is directly proportional to your impact, how many lives you touch. This reframes everything. Why do movie stars and top athletes earn so much? Because they serve millions of people simultaneously. Why do teachers earn so little, even though they're doing incredibly valuable work? Not because they lack worth, but because of scale. The first law determines your value. The second law determines how much of that value reaches the world. But here's the liberating part. You control this. If you want to earn more, serve more people. There are no limits because there are always more people to serve. Nicole also shares a belief she had to overcome, that you can either be rich or do good, but not both. She held that belief until she saw her partners working late nights, watched kids' lives changing, and realized the belief wasn't serving her. So she simply decided to change it. Your life works the same way, she tells Joe. You just make it up. Joe's application that afternoon. He takes a pound of Rachel's famous coffee back to the office and personally serves every single colleague on his floor. He doesn't know most of them well. He feels a little ridiculous, but he does it anyway. Wednesday, they head to the 24th floor of the city's tallest building, headquarters of Liberty Life Insurance. They're here to meet Sam Rosen, a white-haired, wheezing, raspy-voiced old man who is single-handedly responsible for more than 75% of this branch's entire revenue. One of the wealthiest philanthropists in the state. Sam's secret? He stopped trying to sell. When his goal was to sell insurance, he was terrible at it. His first few years, he failed completely. What turned things around was shifting his focus from getting to giving, and then building something deeper, a network. But Sam redefines what networking means. Most people think of networking as a transactional exchange. You scratch my back, I scratch yours. Keep score. Even Steven. But Sam calls that being a creditor, not a friend. Real influence, Sam says, comes from building what he calls an army of personal walking ambassadors. People who are genuinely invested in seeing you succeed because you're just as invested in their success. And the law. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. This is the law of influence. Don't aim for win-win. Sam says, aim for their win. 100%. Stop keeping score. Joe thinks about the phone call at the beginning of the week where he said, "Come on, Carl, you owe me one." That wasn't building influence. That was keeping score. That evening, Joe applies this law at home, not at work. His wife Susan comes home exhausted, stressed, and desperate to talk. Normally, they have an unwritten 30-minute complaint rule. Fair is fair, 50-50. But Joe remembers Sam. 50-50 is a losing proposition. So instead of waiting for his turn, he tells Susan to keep going. He listens, not strategically, not waiting for his turn to speak, just fully listens. He feels foolish. She eventually cries herself to sleep. The next morning, there's a note on her pillow. I can't remember ever feeling so listened to, so heard. Thank you for your generosity. He'd applied the law of influence without even realizing it. Thursday, Joe and Pinder attend a massive sales symposium where 3,000 people have gathered to hear a keynote from Deborah Davenport, the city's top real estate agent in both residential and commercial markets. Deborah's story is raw and real. At 42, her husband walked out. She'd never worked a mainstream job. She was overage and underqualified. She spent a year learning every closing technique ever invented. From A to Z, she rattles them all off in one of the most entertaining moments of the book. And at the end of that year, she hadn't sold one single property. Then at a sales symposium just like this one, she heard a speaker say, "If you need money, add value. If you need a lot of money, add a lot of value." She couldn't figure out what she, a failed broker, had to add. And then it hit her. Nothing. She had nothing to add. So she decided to quit. Her last appointment, she let go completely. No spec sheets, no techniques, no closing strategies. She just showed up as herself. They chatted, laughed, talked about everything but the house. The client bought the house because what Deborah had learned to offer wasn't any technique. It was herself, her warmth, her care, her genuine interest in the other person. She knew how to be a friend, and that the marketplace wants desperately, always has, always will. The most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. The law of authenticity. No sales technique is worth 10% of what genuine human connection offers. After the talk, Joe does something he hasn't done yet this week. He tells Pinder the truth. He confesses that he didn't come to him for wisdom about success. He came to use him. He wanted Pinder's name, his connections, his clout, and leverage to win back the big kahuna account. He expects Pinder to be disappointed. Instead, Pinder just says, "That wasn't the real reason you came. You only thought it was. You were hungry to learn about genuine success." Applying authenticity, Joe walks over to his colleague Gus, a quiet, unassuming man he'd always dismissed as naive, and admits that he's been wrong about him. And in doing so, he discovers something that changes everything. Gus is the connector, the mysterious figure who appears in every other character's story. He introduced Pinder to Sam. He bought them all hot dogs at a small neighborhood stand one afternoon, which turned out to be Ernesto's card. He connected Ernesto to Deborah Davenport, who sold him his commercial real estate. He introduced Nicole Martin's partners to Sam, who gave them financial advice and invested in their fledgling software company. Gus's net worth, when he quietly reveals it to Joe, is staggering. Numbers Joe's knees go weak just hearing. And yet Gus still comes to the office every day. Not because he has to, because he genuinely loves what he does. Talking to people, asking questions, learning about them, finding ways to help. An old man's got to have some fun, he says with a wink. This is the proof in the pudding. Gus is the living embodiment of every law in the book. He gives value relentlessly. He touches countless lives. He puts others' interests first, and he shows up completely as himself. The result? He's one of the wealthiest, most connected, most quietly influential people in the city. Friday, Joe arrives at the Stone Mansion for lunch, wondering who the Friday guest will be. He guesses Rachel. He guesses Gus. He's wrong both times. But before the guest is revealed, Pinder teaches the fifth and final law, and it's the one Joe has been most quietly resisting all week. Pinder asks Joe to slowly exhale and keep exhaling for 30 seconds. Joe makes it to 12 before gasping for air. Would you believe me, Pinder asks, if I told you it's medically proven that exhaling is healthier than inhaling? Would you just keep exhaling? Of course not, because giving and receiving aren't opposites. They're one continuous cycle. Every time your heart beats, it contracts and relaxes. The plant kingdom breathes in what we breathe out and vice versa. Every act of giving only happens because someone is receiving. The two can't be separated. So the old saying, "It is better to give than to receive," isn't just incomplete. Pinder says it's actually arrogant. When you refuse to receive, you're denying someone else the right to give. You're cutting off the flow. The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. The law of receptivity. Being open to receive means having big dreams, being curious, believing in yourself, staying hungry and enthusiastic. Children do this naturally. Somewhere along the way, adults get it drummed out of them. And then Pinder reveals who the Friday guest is. Joe. That would be you, my friend. That Friday afternoon, Joe sits at his desk staring at the ruin of his third quarter. The big kahuna went to Neil Hansen. Third miss. He doesn't know what will happen to him now. But the strangest thing, he doesn't feel as bad as he should. He quietly washes the coffee cups in the empty office. And then the phone rings. At 6:15 on a Friday. A voice he doesn't recognize. Is this Joe? Ed Barnes gave me your number. It's Neil Hansen, the man who beat him for the big kahuna account. He's calling because he's in a jam. A massive new client has lost their supply chain. They're about to launch 3 international hotel chains and a luxury cruise line. They need a premium global coffee supplier. Hundreds of thousands of customers. Impossibly high quality, impossibly high volume. 3 weeks. Nobody can pull it off. Joe smiles. I just might know someone. Rachel. The woman who has spent a quiet year building relationships with coffee growers in over 3 dozen countries, learning every side of the business from Pinder's living room. Rachel, whose famous coffee was too good not to share with the world. The referral Joe gave to Jim Galloway, the competitor Ed Barnes, comes back as the call that changes his life. The law of compensation in action. The law of receptivity fully realized. The book jumps forward nearly a year. Joe, Rachel, and Neil Hansen have co-founded Rachel's Famous Coffee. They're launching a foundation to support indigenous coffee-growing communities across Central America, Africa, and Southeast Asia. Joe has a storyteller's warmth in his voice. His wife, Susan, has left her city job to join them as chief civil engineer. And Joe is meeting with a young woman named Claire, about to do for her exactly what Pinder once did for him. The 5 laws of stratospheric success. 1. The law of value. Your true worth is determined by how much more you give in value than you take in payment. 2. The law of compensation. Your income is determined by how many people you serve and how well you serve them. 3. The law of influence. Your influence is determined by how abundantly you place other people's interests first. 4. The law of authenticity. The most valuable gift you have to offer is yourself. 5. The law of receptivity. The key to effective giving is to stay open to receiving. The shift this book asks you to make isn't complicated. It's not a strategy. It's a direction from getting to giving. And as Joe discovers, when you change that direction, you don't end up with less. You end up with everything. Go give and stay open to receiving. If this resonated with you, hit like, subscribe, and drop a comment. Which of the 5 laws hit hardest for you? I'd love to know. See you in the next one.